You've then got the Mordekaiser, who in time will win out against Morgan in the top lane, and good way of clearing the mid, so you've got answers at least for OMG.
We'll see if those answers are going to pay off. We've got an Ashe coming through for Jomon. He's up against SMLZ, and a lot of poke on the side of OMG if they opt into this lethality. Varus, we're seeing it time and time again alongside the Corki, but it's game number 3, and the 8th seed for playoffs is on the line. One game remaining between WE and OMG.
OMG need to find a way back in here, because after game number 2, my hopes for them in this game number 3 are not high. Also, now we can see that Icon has taken that cleanse. More worried about Teacher Ma being able to jump onto him and get the cleanse, or get the taunt to set up for Beishang on the engage, but it does mean they'll struggle on these side lanes. Does mean that they mightn't be able to deal with this 1-3-1 as easily as they'd like. And I think if you'd gone with the teleport play from OMG on their mid laner, you would have been able to answer for that 1-3-1. Then you can move in towards the likes of these objectives and use that poke that you pointed out, Munchables, with the rockets, with your piercing arrows from the Varus. And maybe that's the way that OMG could have coordinated their game plan. Right now, though, if WE do get a lead, they can definitely start to build their advantages in the split push.
Cold's going to be on his Taric once again. In game number 1, it was absolutely one of the winning points for the side of OMG when it came to these team fights. His Cosmic Radiances were completely changing the face of the fight. Game number 2, though, he never got to a point where that ultimate was really going to be impactful enough. We'll see if they can hold on long enough to get this team fight composition online and start to look for those battles for themselves. On the other side for WE, they very much got that same old wombo combo that we saw in game number 2.
I'm curious to see now where Beishang is going to have his influence plus. They're going to realize that Hacker started on this top side of the map because of the ward that was nicely placed by Morgan. So now I want to see Beishang get up towards this early gank in the top side, especially with the way the wave is frozen. He should be able to try and get in there and upset Curse.
Now, it is worth mentioning that Jomon, he's been struggling a little bit when it comes to positioning on his AD carries in this series. And Ashe is an AD carry that is all about positioning, all about being stood in the right spots. They're going to hit the level 2 mark, and they're going to go for a fight here onto Cold. It's going to be even colder with these Frost Arrows coming on in. Hawkshot is not going to spot Hacker, who's waiting in Tribrush, but it might give a false sense of security to WE's bot lane here.
Cold is going to see if he can try and get in aggressively on that bottom side. Hacker still sticking around. Teacher Matt takes a really bad trade in the mid, but eventually Hacker will be spotted out. And now Beishang knows he's free to go for this play on top side. And you can see Curse has backed away in response. So Morgan will start to force Curse all the way back, and he won't get any of this farm.
Curse, once bitten, twice shy. Not going to go for the play here. Just going to play it safe. Keep himself alive in the top lane, but he's going to lose a lot of minions to the tower. Same can be said on the bottom side. It's Jomon pushed underneath.
Jomon will be able to farm, though, is the big difference here. Curse is being pushed off, now approaching the turret. This is dangerous.
One plate goes the way of Morgan. Teacher Ma hanging around in the bottom side. He wants to make sure that his bot lane is going to be okay. Do we see a dive here? Curse is level 2 and just gets annihilated. Beishang with first blood.
And WE make the perfect play there. They catch Curse before he hits level 3, and now Morgan has hit level 4 to the level 2 of Curse. Sure, teleport will be used, but he's 6 CS to the 23 of Morgan.
23 to 6, that is insane. What a play coming out from WE. Great presence once again from Beishang on this top side, and Curse. One of the biggest reasons that OMG did so well in game number 1 is being punished time after time.
But it's mistakes from Curse. This is the thing. He took that fight in game number 2 that he shouldn't have. Now he's staying underneath the tower in game number 3 to try and pick up that cannon. This is setting Morgan up for this split push so effectively, and this is now a big issue. I mean, look at the items that Morgan has picked up. 3 longswords right now. He's going to be able to bully this lane continuously, and Beishang is making sure that's going to keep going because he's already pathed towards the top side, and Curse has set up a nice wave for Morgan to freeze.
That's a lot of swords for a Crocodile. Needs to be careful that he doesn't prod himself in his pockets there. But now Jomon going to be able to just clear away the waves. The Hawkshot going to be so pivotal. And you can see he actually went Hawkshot at level 2, which is not typically what you'd go for. But when Hacker has had so much focus on towards this bottom lane, in this series. You can see that WE are adapting to that. And so far, they're looking really good.
In this bottom side as well, they're starting to get a little bit of a slow push going. So they could try and time this effectively where Jomung will push this in just as that level or 8-minute mark spawns, and then they can look to roam towards the likes of this Rift Herald. With that stun though, and with the good push coming back from SMLZ, that play is going to be ruined. So at least Code and SMLZ are keeping themselves in shape on this bottom side of the map.
Jomung just going to have to clear underneath the turret. They have been under constant pressure in this bottom side, which does mean that this Drake priority is very much in favor of OMG. But let's talk big picture here. Let's talk game plan, because Icon has got this Corki, and we've seen Corki a lot in recent weeks. By the looks of things, well, he could still be going for the Sheen there, or it could be going for this Muramana build instead. We'll see which one he opts to go for, but it'll change this style of Corki that we see.
I think I'd like to see, well, a lot of pros have just been opting to go for the Manamune build straight off the bat. They just seem to prefer that earlier spike that you get off the Manamune. And I think when this composition as well, when you're looking to try and fight in these around these early objectives like the Dragons and the Rift Heralds, having that earlier spike could definitely help out. But Icon has opted for the cull, so maybe just going, hey look, we'll try and pick up these Dragons if it suits us, but I'm going to farm up and instead go for a Triforce into Infinity Edge and look for a later game scaling, which could win out over the harder mid-game spike from WE.
Whoa, WE want to fight right here. We said these guys were the Dragon Scrappers, and they're living up to their names right now. They move in for this Ocean Drake. OMG just forced away. Smite from Beisheng. Good attempt there from SMLZ with the piercing arrow, but complete control once again. WE 1,000 gold ahead at 6 minutes, and they get a Drake.
And Teacher Ma using the advantage that he had there in pushing in the wave. Yeah, he'll lose 1 or 2 CS to the turret, but Icon sticking around in mid lane meant that WE had the man advantage, and OMG rightly so back away this time. But Morgan now pushing in, trying to see if he can spot onto Hacker.
Wants to go for a play, but he's completely denied by the Pillar of Filth there. He'll just get a ward down and make sure that he's got complete vision awareness of where Hacker's going to be on the map, keeping himself safe in the top lane. But look at the CS numbers once again. In this top lane, Morgan has completely run away with the lane once again.
Off of that early game play, I'm not surprised, but this is where we've got to start looking at, okay, well, how do OMG try and operate if they can come back into this game? Because Curse has been left, he's pretty high and dry right now, and especially as you start to go into these team fights where Jomung is going to be providing a bunch of slows onto the Hacker, onto Curse, even Cold if he tries to go aggressive. It can be really difficult for this front line of OMG to aggress onto WE. They can kite back super effectively, and this is only going to be amplified when they're already 1,000 gold behind.
I love this positioning from Curse. He's trying to bait Morgan into the 1v1. He's like, I'm completely on my own, trying to look juicy. But Morgan's not going to fall for it. He knew Hacker was still nearby. He had the ward on Krug, so he knew that the jungler could have been there. And it means he just gets to keep his advantage. And because of that advantage, now Beisheng is comfortable enough to just come and start the Herald.
And this is great call from Beisheng. As long as they don't have Jomung and Missing alongside SMLZ and Cold come up here, well, it'll be a handy pickup because they have that pushing advantage in the top lane. Teacher Ma as well is dictating the pace of this mid lane at the moment. And look at the build that Icon has gone for. Is opting for that Triforce into Infinity Edge because we haven't seen him go towards that early tier or even towards the early pickaxe. So Icon instead will be looking for that later game, which is where we said OMG might have an opportunity to shine, but WE are looking to accelerate the pace of this game so they don't reach that point.
Maybe this Rift Herald will be the way to do it. As you can see, Teacher Ma wants a part of the action. He wants a slice of this pie. And it's going to be Curse flavored as they move towards that top lane. They've got the Rift Herald and they want to find Turret. Ah, Jomung. Feels bad. The arrow? Woohoo! That could, if that had hit Curse, that would have been amazing.
That would have been hilarious if they managed to pick off Curse. But Curse is doing the good job here of backing away from this turret. Trying to take this last turret plate will be a bit of a nuisance, but WE will still manage to do so. It's been answered a little bit on the bottom side, but Jomung and Missing, after protecting that mid lane tower, are now roaming back towards bottom lane. And look at Teacher Ma. He might even try and set up the play here.
Oh, Missing wants to go for the 2v2 right now. Ashe is incredibly good in the early game because of her passive. But they're not going to find the 2v2 that they want. There's a second charge. Curse can't get the Herald in time.
I really wanted to see Teacher Ma try and get on this bottom side, but unfortunately didn't quite have the speed to get down to help out missing on that engage. But still, tower gone on the top side. More gold over towards Morgan. The split push for Nectin is again coming online. And Teacher Ma, all he has to do is just draw members to another lane, especially if Curses with teleport trying to deal with Morgan. And Icon, who doesn't have teleport, is trying to deal with this Galio.
Now, I do want to mention something because I just said a very blanket statement of Ashe is really good in the early game. That is obviously, she's not the strongest AD carry in the early game, but in a 2v2, if she gets ahead of you, she'll run the approach velocity rune in the inspiration tree, and it means that she essentially has Vayne's passive. She can just continuously chase you down. There is no way to escape an Ashe if she's trying to get onto you.
And it does make it incredibly difficult, especially when you start to look at all the follow-up CC that can't come through. But
Icon wants the 1v1, but it's just going to be an even trade there. The package, I'm assuming, was about to run out. As Hacker moves on into the mid lane.
Morgan is here, though. He wants to try and make a play.
Valkyrie will still be available. The package Valkyrie is on a separate cooldown. Teacher might trying to push Icon over towards that side of the lane here. Oh, Justice Punch just to clear the minions. Morgan going to move back to the top side.
So Jomung and Missing got spotted trying to make their way up river. This is where you got to keep your eyes on that global CC coming through from Jomung, trying to aim it towards the mid lane, set up with Morgan. And I like the way WE are playing around this Ashe pick. As we said, WE need to get ahead in this game because their damage just won't really answer for what OMG have. But if they are able to kite back successfully in these later stage fights and they deny Curse, Hacker, and Code access to the likes of Jomung, maybe they can eke out a victory, but it's still not going to be the easiest.
Won't be the easiest, but you know what? A win is a win at the end of the day. That's all they're going to be looking for. Second Dragon on the board, though, and OMG that wants to start this one off. Morgan has TP, and he's just head back to base. You'd expect him to jump in. This is where Morgan shines, fighting over these Dragons, TPing into the fray, and he's going to do exactly that. Dragon now pretty much just conceded from OMG. They wanted to try and sneak it, I guess, but they definitely don't want to fight.
You can't. I mean, Teacher Ma and Beishang are at their strongest right now. This is where that combo is so potent, especially if you're grouped up in the pit like that. And because Icon has opted for the later game build, hadn't backed to get that Triforce yet, meant that they had so much sitting gold, it would have been a disastrous fight if they'd gone for it.
I'm keeping my eyes on Jomung here because that enchanted crystalline arrow will be able to make plays across the map. You can try and predict where people are going to go. It's a tough skill, that's for sure, to be able to pull off, but we've seen magical arrows in the past. I'm thinking to Worlds Finals. I'm thinking to Prey making things happen. Denying the recalls. Was that Worlds Finals?
Semi-finals.
Semi-finals.
Yeah. I know the one you're talking about. It's the Echo. I mean, I think it's imprinted on everyone's mind. But now as well, not only do you have this global ultimate for Jomung, the Hawkshot is doing so much work in spotting where Hacker's gone, which is why we're seeing WE play so aggressively into the jungle, because they've spotted out Hacker on the likes of these wards that have been placed down with the Hawkshots, and it's given Beishang and Morgan control of the top side.
Speaking of Beishang, he's moving towards the bottom side of the map. Ooh. Missing, goes wide on the hook there, and it does mean that they can't make the play in the end. Kind of not what you expect out of Missing. I think he was trying to read the dodge, though.
It's trying to read the dodge, but also trying to see if you can just clip it past the back of Cold. You don't want to be catching out the Tark in that scenario, too tanky, and especially when he's got that Cosmic Radiance available. It's all about trying to lock up SMLZ.
So let's revisit the CS numbers here, because Morgan's still way ahead in the top lane at a 50 CS advantage, but we're starting to see leads in the mid and bottom lanes here for Icon and SMLZ. 20-30 CS up in favor of this Corki, 20 CS up as well in favor of the Varus in the bottom lane. So they're doing a good job to just farm up, and bear in mind, these are carries that will scale incredibly well into the later stages of the game.
So a lot of these CS leads are coming from, in the mid lane at least, Teacher Ma roaming to try and help gain some of these objectives, and it has given WE a slight advantage. You can see about a 2,000 gold lead for themselves at the moment. It's given them the turret plates that we've seen pretty on your screen all gone into Morgan, But now with this next Rift Herald coming up as well, there is the opportunity that the poke from SMLZ and Icon can dissuade WE if they're able to set up in time. But you got to keep your eyes on Morgan on the bottom side of the map. He's looking to try and answer for a tier 1 on the bottom side, matched by Curse.
Well, Beishang and Missing could be in trouble. Pillar of Filth's not going to be enough though, because Missing could always just dredge line out. Beishang starts off the Rift Herald here.
In these scenarios, what you're going to see is WE trying to kite back and use the advantage that they have in range with Jomong, and also try and keep Hacker and Curse from getting into these fights, Code from getting these big stuns off, but it can be really difficult when they're in the pit like this.
We've got a package available from Icon. I'm not sure if he's going to get here in time. I think he just about will. The eye goes down. There's the smite. Herald taken. Beishang grabs it. And OMG, they're not going to be able to force the fight that they were looking for.
And this is heartbreaking for OMG. I had such high hopes for them coming into this series, because especially after game number 1. Oh, that ult!
Oh, what a cleanse! SMLZ. Fingers of fury there.
APM skyrocketing in that moment, but still though, cleanse burnt, and WE now with this Rift Herald can look to crack open some of these turrets. They're starting to wander down towards the bottom side, which means OMG will need to help Curse or run the risk of Beishang and Morgan diving them again.
It's very possible, but you always have to remember, this is a Mordekaiser. You don't necessarily want to dive onto a Mordekaiser. Curse going to take a little bit of a trade here. Rift Herald comes on down. He's going to have to force the death round, but they're not interested in the kill until after the tower has fallen. Now they get to chase him down, and Curse hasn't got anywhere that he can go for this one. Hook in from Missing as they just try and defend this mid lane tower. Curse pinned against a rock and a hard place here. Going to pull Morgan into the death realm, but you can't fight the Croc right now. This will be the 1v1. Ruthless Predator safe for the shield, and now the hero's entrance. Knock up onto Hacker. Surely more kills. Taunt won't quite land onto SMLZ. Missing wants to try and find a hook. Beishang's just off to the side. Still has Cataclysm.
And WE are pushing in this bottom side, so wins again for WE. There's no turret plates left. They're gone nearly 3 minutes ago, so even though you get a lot of damage onto that mid lane turret, no extra advantage gained. Now WE can move towards this dragon as well, with Morgan having picked up a Tiamat and that Jorm's Fist.
And this feels like a much more slow, calculated WE, but also a much more respectful OMG. It feels like they're aware that they can't win the fights right now and opting not to take them. The question, though, will be, how much do they lose while they're being respectful? How far behind can they really risk falling?
And the thing here is that we're seeing WE opt entirely for this 1-3-1 style. So now that WE have control, it's a lot easier for them to try and push their advantages that they've gained early. This is because you see the Tiamat coming in from Morgan, helping him to push those waves, trying to draw Curse into these awkward positions where he's going to have to deal with the incredible pressure that Morgan put onto these turrets. I wouldn't be surprised in the later stages. I was thinking he might go for the Blade of the Rune King, but because you've only got a single teleport on OMG's side, having this quick, very fast push thanks to the Tiamat is going to play off more importantly in those later fights.
When we talk about the builds as well, you can see WE will be looking towards this split push and then into the team fights later on, because you'd expect Jomung, he's going to be going for a very similar build to what you'd expect on a Kalista with that Hurricane second. Tier 2 in the top lane here for WE.
So this is what we were talking about, is that because Morgan's got that Tiamat, you've got constant pressure that can come at any point in time. So Icon is forced to deal with either the Galio or with Morgan, but either way, it's drawing members of OMG to the opposite side of the map, so WE can secure their soul point dragon.
And Morgan gets the tower, doesn't ever have to use his TP. They get the dragon as well, and now they're on soul point. WE, they're building similar advantages to what we saw in game number 2. Maybe not quite as dramatic, quite as quickly, but they're still in complete control here. But this is a calculated version of game number 2.
And again, this comes back to Icon not having that teleport makes it so difficult for OMG to try and deal with this cross-map pressure that WE are coordinating. And it's been really beautiful to watch. They've managed to crash these waves at times where it's inopportune for OMG to try and respond or even get a push of their own off. And especially with the wave clear that Jomong has available, trying to get onto this mid lane turret is a damn nuisance.
It's going to be very difficult to get down any of these towers. And bear in mind, OMG still no towers on the board, no Rift Heralds, no kills. Last game couldn't be the perfect game for WE. This game so far, they're actually on track.
We'll have to see if they can keep it going, and so far it's looked pretty good. They've extended their gold lead to 3,500. We're now looking at the Baron that's going to be spawned in 30 seconds, but this is where it becomes a little bit dicey for WE. Trying to get onto this Baron would set up really well for OMG to fight them. You've got a bunch of poke that can come in. If you're on this objective, you've got the Chains of Corruption or even a pillar from FLICKR can stop that kite back that we're talking about. And Jomong hasn't really hit these items where he can be a big carry. Would love to pick up at least another attack speed item to try and get through some of these beefier frontliners like Curse and FLICKR. So WE want to hold off in the moment, but may not get the opportunity.
Might not. Jomong, though, on the right side of the package, and he's got a Jarvan up his sleeve. Beishang goes in, and Hero's Entrance available here, but not going to be used. In comes Morgan, flashes forward, stun on. Oh my days! Morgan tears SMLZ apart. There's one for Jomong, knock up onto the other two, and suddenly the game's wide open for WE.
The perfect flank from Morgan into the setup for Teacher Ma. Beishang does a great job of drawing OMG, causing them to overextend because they think, oh, fantastic, Teacher Ma isn't in a position yet. Maybe we can get the kill off the Cosmic Radiance, but it doesn't matter. And that Baron we just talked about being really difficult for WE to pick up, well, they've just got it.
And the Rangers' focus, incredibly good at burning through the Baron alongside that Blade of the Rune King. They'll do this incredibly quickly. There's no answer available whatsoever. OMG only just respawning onto the map. But what was the damage out of Morgan? He barely even got any kills, but just tore SMLZ a new one.
It's almost like he's 3 levels above his lane opponents or something. Morgan, the highest level in the game right now, and Icon unfortunately doesn't quite get the angle here to Jomong to push him towards the team, which gives enough time for Beishang to join in off of a good stun from Jomong. And even without the AD carry here, well, there's enough damage with Morgan. Instantly deletes SMLZ onto the low health mid laner as well. And at that stage, well, where's your damage? Curse is way too far behind. Hacker's a Trundle jungle. He's not going to supplement any sort of DPS. So WE 6-0, not a single tower gone, and they're 1-3-1 in a major boost scenario.
And Colonel is loving their chances of making it to that 8th seed spot in playoffs. WE. Game number 1 of this series looked abysmal from them, it has to be said, but game number 2, they looked amazing. Game number 3, they look amazing, and they look clean as well. They seem to have just got better with every game.
There we go.
Curse is caught out by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. He wants to try and find Jomong, but once again, I don't think he can win the 1v1. Now with Baron, they can begin the siege.
And Jomong with this Ruin's Hurricane now has hit full potential for this Ashe. The kiting is incredibly good against Curse, Hacker, Cold, and unless he gets locked up by the likes of the Chains of Corruption from SMLZ, Jomong can run amok in these teams.
And still on track for the perfect game. As of right now, Jomong forced to flash as Hacker gets a nice pillar there, but they can't follow up onto the AD carry. In the meantime, split push Morgan on this Renekton will get the tier 1.
And it's so good to see Morgan starting to come into his own on this split push. We started to have doubts for Morgan as the split went on. He looked great to begin with, teleports to the bottom lane, setting up plays for WE. Now, though, he's finding solo kills in this series. He's looking stronger in the way he's creating pressure on the map. And he really does look like someone that trained under Zoom on Joy Dream back in the day.
And Zoom, arguably the best top laner in the entire league right now. Between him and the Shy, it's very much up in the air.
If I want consistency, I'm going with Zoom. If I want flashiness, I go with the Shy.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that as of right now. Baron used very effectively. 40 seconds on that one, but I think it's about time that WE back away because Cloud is up in 5 seconds time, and this would be the soul. 10,000 gold lead, and honestly, if I'm WE right now, I'm not looking out to close this quickly. I'm looking out for the perfect game that gets me into playoffs.
What a statement that would be.
Yeah.
For WE to come in, to beat the gatekeepers OMG, who've sat in that 8th place spot for so damn long. Right up until our games yesterday, they then dropped to the 9th place spot, but WE now commanding that 8th place position and looking to solidify their place in the playoffs here today.
QSS picked up for Jomong as well, so Kersey's starting to get that damage, but will not be able to find the 1v1 onto this Ashe. And we're getting to a point in the game now where we have to wonder what OMG have left in the tank, because this doesn't feel like a game that's been lost compositionally. This doesn't feel like a game that's been lost even in mechanics. This feels like a game that's been lost in mentality. It feels like OMG are broken here in game number 3.
And a lot of that coming from the top lane plays. Unfortunately, Kurt's not respecting that WE were going to go for the dive up on the top side of the map. Again, we see it on the bottom side of the map. But it's Beishang putting a heap of pressure towards Morgan, and the gold reflects that here. 12,000 gold, nearly 2,500 above everyone else in this game. And now with the Cloud Soul on top of things, Morgan is going to be unstoppable in these team fights. The speed up when you've got Dominus to chase down SMLZ, to jump onto Icon. I'm sorry for you, Icon and SMLZ. This is where your run ends.
Might well be. We'll have to see if WE can just dot the I's and cross the T's. There's still time. They've not actually broken any inhibitors yet, and that's going to be incredibly important. The next Baron not for another 2 minutes just yet. We'll see where WE go with this one. Corki and Varus both exceptionally good the longer this game goes on.
The problem, though, is that they're 10,000 gold behind. This is why you're seeing just such pressure exerted by WE. Morgan again on this top side of the map now with Teacher Ma to keep them safe. They're trying to just push in these waves, back up, get some vision control for themselves. And once they've got all this vision in the jungle, they can operate where you've got Teacher Ma dipping into the jungle, seeing if maybe he wants to join in towards Morgan on the top side. You can't spot out these ultimates coming in from Jawmong, and that makes it so difficult for you to approach the waves to clear as Icon, SMLZ, and Curse.
And you know, it has to be said, coming into this series, I wasn't 100% sure who'd be going for this one, honestly, because it felt pretty close when it comes to previous records for these two teams. But OMG have been on a loss streak. WE were on a loss streak until they got their win against EDG. Game number 1 made it felt like OMG very much had the number of WE. But game number 2 and game number 3, WE have buckled on down. Clearly, Coach Domo had some magic up his sleeves with this Ashe pick coming on through. And just the coordination from this squad, they look night and day from the first game in this series. And I'm just excited that Morgan is performing so well moving into playoffs.
You love Morgan.
I love Morgan.
For anyone who doesn't know, Munchables has non-stop been talking about how much he loves Morgan. A bit on air, but mostly off air, I think. But this guy has a major man crush on Morgan. And rightfully so. I mean, he's been playing absolutely incredible. He's looked stellar. And it's a bit of an upset for OMG because this was where you really, as a fan of OMG, started to gain hope for them. We talked about them being 16th in summer 2019. Now they've made this run, and I thought, look, no matter what, they can be proud of themselves, but this isn't the game that I wanted to see from OMG for potentially now their last game in LPL Spring 2020.
I think that's the key thing, right? If you're an OMG fan at home and they do end up losing out this game, it does feel like it's going that way. It's not done just yet. I don't want to count the chickens just yet, but it does feel like it's not looking so hot for OMG. If that does end up coming to pass, you can be happy with this season for OMG. It's a significant improvement from what we saw in 2019. But with this series in particular, this is not a happy result.
And this is not the OMG we know.
Oh.
SMLZ caught out.
SMLZ's been found. Hero's entrance as well. Hacker going to be pulled back in as well, but OMG are going to survive for now. No kills either
Morgan
way.
Going for the flank.
Morgan's coming in from behind, but decides against making the aggressive play.
So cleanse and heal burnt on SMLZ. No chains of corruption. That's the big ultimate that we were talking about to keep WE locked up in this pit. With that down, WE are free to start up this Baron and tear through it with that Blade of the Rune King Ashe.
And with no Cosmic Radiance as well. Cold had to use that during the fight. That's the way that you can survive against the damage. Jawmong's going to offer Teacher Ma. He wants an opportunity, might have found it on Cold. Cold forced to flash. Morgan comes in the back at SMLZ. He's destroyed. The rest of the squad groups up. Can they get a kill? Can they ruin the perfect game? It's not looking like it right now. Double for Morgan. The Alligator says, see you later with a triple. Now, on to Hacker. And I think they want to give the kills over. Nope. Jawmong wants this one for himself. Teacher Ma gets it in the end, and Icon waddles away because WE are into the base. They've got demolished, and Teacher Ma's not going to let Icon go anywhere. Down they go into the base, 12-0. No dragons, no heralds, no barons, no towers. The perfect game for WE, and they secure 8th seed for playoffs.
WE will join the ranks